Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ivan Fiyun, and I have the honor of hosting the Bertie podcast. And today we're going to talk to Bertie about the way forward. We've just entered 2021. We're 12 days in. This is the first broadcast of the year, and we're very excited to be piggybacking and continuing with the conversations we had last year. Last year, we spoke about reflection, foresight, hindsight. We spoke about goals, etc., and we ended off the year on a high. But today, we want to look at 2021. We want to look forward because foresight is a big, I would say, pillar of what Bertie teaches and what he's talking about. So today, we're going to talk about, as you see on the broadcast, the topic for today is New Year, New You. Good afternoon, Bertie. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Ivan, and everyone out there. Yes, I'm very well, thank you, and looking forward to a new year with new challenges and therefore new opportunities.
So, Bertie, I love what you said there. You said new year, new challenges, and so I can say, listen, I'm approaching this new year with new eyeballs, new vision. And we're entering this year. You know, there's a lot of jokes on Facebook and stuff. Things like, I've entered 2021, and I had my first 7-day trial, and I want my money back. Last year it was like, I want to see the terms and conditions for 2021 first before I go into it. A lot of skepticism, obviously, on 2021. And everything that we're kind of still in this wave. We're in the second wave. And my frame of reference, where I come from kind of a faith framework, etc. But I think one thing that we can talk very well about is, and I think that when we're saying New Year, New You, I think it's about the renewing of your mind. It is about approaching things with a positive mindset. Do you think that people come out of December having had holiday and time to rest, etc., for those that they would have a new approach and a new mindset going into this year?
Traditionally, one would be able to say, yes, that's true. People go on holiday, they take a break, they come back fresh with new ideas, new strengths. But, this whole COVID and lockdown has changed also the mindset out of that. Because, we have always lived our lives that tomorrow is just a known thing. I go to bed and I wake up tomorrow because tomorrow is there. It's just for the taking. There is no expectation that it might not be there. And with COVID, as I say, with lockdown, nothing today is certain. And we've learned now that is true. Tomorrow will be a gift. It is not certain. So how do you approach life then and plan accordingly if the whole of the year is out of your control? So how much of your future can you then say, I have control over? And how much of your future are you actually leaving up to others that you feel you have no control over? And I'm not talking about your boss, and I'm not talking about the government. It's just that we have entered a new phase in our lives, that the future is not certain, and I'm not in control. So I don't want to spend the time today talking about COVID, but all I want to say is that we have all lost friends and family that was healthy yesterday and today passed away. And the realization, therefore, once again came, is that even on that and over that, we don't have any control. Healthy people passes away because of COVID, and even unhealthy people get up and go on. So nothing is certain.
Bertie, last year we spoke a little bit. Shared a little bit about my regime or routine in the last kind of week of the month. I wouldn't say isolation. I just kind of go and I'm quiet and I go and look at the year. So what I've done is I've looked at all the things that I want to achieve this year. I've reverse engineered it, and it is the build up and the development of that is meticulously and very carefully built into my diary, that I have a routine, and every day it builds on top of the previous kind of day or week, and it builds towards that thing. So that's how I approached kind of this year. So maybe preparedness is one of the things that I think we can look at. You mentioned, and the reason I'm saying that is you said just now, this year for some people might feel out of control. So what I just mentioned there, I feel that I have pretty good control of my year and where I'm going and what I want from life or from this year. And I'm thinking that, and obviously I told you we met on Friday, and I told you that some opportunities came across my desk. I took those opportunities and just booked meetings and met with people, etc. Is that something that the viewers can take and say, you know what, the future would naturally look bleak, but is it possible for the viewer to take control of this year instead of feeling like it's going to be out of control for them? Because if we enter the year with that, I mean, a lot of people are not going to be very hopeful, and they're not going to have a good year, because again, it's like it comes back to mindset.
Absolutely. I'm glad you say that, because I'm generalizing when I saying the bulk of the people as sort of they are suffering a feeling of loss of control because of so many factors that they have got no control over. But then, as you quite rightly say, we need to sit down, we need to reflect and plan our lives accordingly. Because the challenge that I would like to put out to everyone out there is, if and it's linked to you, and I will come back to your statement now. If I challenge the viewer, and I ask them, if I ask you now to sit there where you are right now, and that take a pen and write down, what is your goals, your dreams, and your vision? And I ask you to write that down. And once you've done that, I ask you now, put a date to that, put a term to those goals and dreams and visions. Sometimes your dreams can be visions, but goals would always be shorter term challenge that you set to yourself, and end marks that you want to achieve, that builds up to a bigger. But because if you can do that, then you are in control. And if you can't do that, then I would, as I say, challenge you. Go and sit down and write it down. So write down your dreams, because if you do, your dreams doesn't stay a dream. It becomes a controllable vision and becomes a fact. And we all know that my perceptions is my facts. So that perceived vision of mine will become a factual vision. So in terms of your what you've shared with us, it's so great, because you've taken control over that. You know where you're at. You know where you come from. What I can do with what I am, I can take into the future. And irrespective of what happened, I can make it work. And I can get around these obstacles or through the obstacles, because my goals is beyond the obstacle. It's much further. If it's a short-term goal, it might happen before I even get to an obstacle. But the overall view is much further. And that should be our point of departure when we plan for 2021. Even with all the uncertainties linked and associated with 2021. Because then you can say to yourself, I know where I'm going. Because okay, go on.
So I wanna have our viewers each week get value out of what we're saying. So let's talk about some action points. If you haven't done it yet, you need to go and obviously reflect. That's what we said in this a couple of the last sessions last year. But now it's about foresight. Now it's about looking ahead. And Bertie, you're saying, go and look at what your goal is, what you want to reach, and breaking it down into milestones, like short uh, victories or goals that you can reach. That's going to get that's going to get you to the big picture, and that is a way to take control of your here and getting there. Bertie, now if that concept of renewing your mind, new you, it talks about, is it a good exercise? We spoke last about hindsight and looking at that and looking forward. Um, is it now is the time to look forward? What is going to help me have a new perspective, have a fresh perspective, have enter and go into the rest of this month and this year with positivity, looking at opportunities, those kind of things? What are some of the exercises that the viewers can do that's going to help them progress and take flight for the rest of the year?
You know, there's a lot of things that forces us to sit down and plan our years. And you talk about foresight, and we can also talk about introspection. We all know that there is no ways to effectively drive forward and go somewhere by looking in your rear view mirror. But your rear view mirror sometimes may reflect the foundation on which you built, because that gives you the self-assurance and the trust that you can. Because I've made it. I've achieved certain goals, which was also started off by the thinking like we are doing right now, and I've achieved them. And by achieving them, I'm giving myself the credit and saying, you can. Because sometimes we don't even start. Even if we ask the question, what if? And even we link to the I cannot by just adding the yet, as we discussed last year. The fact is, I need to build on something, because we all know that if I can build my foundations on solid ground, I know where I can go home to if I need to retract just a little bit to home. But if I have no foundation, there is nothing to catch me when I fall. Okay, so that is important. But going to and play the blame game that I could not do certain things, that's the past. I cannot recover that. It's almost like the guys are talking about, you know, if you look in the mirror, there's only one individual that you see, and only that individual will take you forward. Nobody else. If it's to be, it's up to me. We know that. So if I reflect by looking in the mirror, I am reflecting on myself, and I myself is going to give the answer and start with a motion to get me to where I want to go. And even if I don't really know where I want to go, I can set myself into motion, because with motion I can get through any trouble. Many of us that have driven vehicles in loose sand know that the moment you stop, you've got trouble. And the only way to get out of that trouble is you have to move backwards before you can go forward, because you have to get solid ground before you can move forward into the soft ground. The other alternative is to understand I need to stay in motion, then I can get through most of, if not all, trouble. So that is key to our planning also. So Ivan, that to everybody out there that's watching this, the future actually have very little negativity to it. We know there's challenges, but I can plan around it. But only when I know where I want to go can I get to the other side of it. Because the moment I need to change direction to get around trouble, we know that if I want to get somewhere to where I defined my end state, I need to go around it, but go back on track. So if there's an accident in the road and I need to take a detour, the detour is just taking me around the trouble, because I'm focused on where I'm going, which part I need to take. If I don't have that and I do a detour, I may think that there's a different road to take, and an easier road, a more beautiful road, and one with less trouble, less pebble, less thorns, and I end up not where I wanted to go. So that detour is actually an end state, but the detour should take you through that, and that is important. But if I don't have that vision, that dream, the problem is, where do I start? Most of us, we know the story of Alice in Wonderland, when she got to the cross in the road, and she didn't know which road to take, and she noticed the alley cat in the tree, and she asked the cat, which road should I take? And his immediate question to her was, it depends where you want to go. And she said, I don't know. And she said that any road will take you there. And that's often our problem, is that we know that we're stuck. We know we get to a point where we have to make a decision where to from here, but we've got no idea where we want to go. So that is where, like in your planning, we need to sit and plan where we want to go. And if we don't have clarity on that, then we play the what if question. We ask ourselves the what if question constantly. Because if I want to go somewhere and I ask myself the what if I take this road or that road, or what if that is not the answer? That is not where I should do it. That's not where my passion lies. Because if we define goals, the immediate might give you a lot of gratification and satisfaction. But it is not where we want to go, because the longer term, the longer view, the longer vision, the longer path that we need to take, that is really where we get the quality of life and the balance in life. Not in the immediate here and now, necessarily.
I want to share a picture with the audience, and this is kind of what faith is like as well. If you're in a car, you can shine the lights ahead of you, but you'll only see a certain distance. If you want to see further into the future or into the road, you have to actually move the car. You have to keep the car moving. That's how you're going to see more in the road ahead. I want to segue into something interesting about every year. I mentioned that December period where I just go and plan and work things out and stuff. And part of that process is going into my office, kind of moving almost everything out, cleaning the whole place out, repacking and restacking everything. Sometimes it looks new, sometimes it looks fresh. I clean all my boards, I rewrite everything, I throw out things that didn't work or that didn't come to succession. Right in front of me is my goals. I'm like, I know exactly what my business need to be, etc. And something interesting that you mentioned to me, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but there at your house, you guys are also, you've pulled the tiles out and you're retiling almost the whole house. That is a very good exercise that someone can do if they want to go into the new year with a fresh perspective, a fresh mindset, a new mindset. Just being positive is sometimes taking some of the old stuff or the old environment. Sometimes it's taking an old couch out. Sometimes it's changing your TV. Sometimes it's, changing the books that you read, those kind of things. Do you think that's a process that people can follow or to use just to get into this year with a fresh new perspective, so I can get into this new year with a new approach, a new me?
It's absolutely everything that you can do that can change your mindset and get you focused on the future and the new things. Just help you to get rid of the cobwebs in your head. It is, it's so crucially important to go through that, as you say, a cleansing process. Because the problem is we have, and this whole lockdown and working from home, it brought its own challenges. So we don't even have to move far to get to our office, because my office is the space between my computer screen and the back of my chair. That ends up being my office. So I'm also locked down whilst being locked down, and I allow that So you need to open yourself and just change. Like I read over the holidays where the guy was talking about how your brain need to keep on rejuvenating itself, to change itself. Um, you, you need to do different things. And he was saying, brush your teeth with your other hand. In other words, with your left hand, if you're right-handed. Shave with a different hand. And I've tried it. And I mean, it's quite tough, to try and to do all these kind of things because everything worked the wrong way around. But just change a couple of things in your life. Park your car on the left-hand side and not on the right-hand side of the double garage for a change. Just take a different route to the office. And if your home office is there, dress challenging, dress differently. I am of the opinion that many of us out there, and I'm glad I'm using the term us, but I have not fallen into that trap. From the start of lockdown, even though my home office has always been my home office for the last 20, 25, almost 30 years, I still get up in the morning, we make the bed, I take my shower, and I shave, and I dress myself as if I go and see a client away from my office. So I do not allow myself to go into a mode of, oh man, I'm just at the office, at the home office, and nobody's going to see me, so I can stay in my PJs and so be it, and have food all over the show and have. My friend, if you want to rejuvenate yourself, you must start with the little things. The smaller things. It's creating the snowball effect. And at the end of the day, the snowball that comes down the mountain is enormous. It's an avalanche. But it has to start with something. And that something has to start with you. So if you don't do that, you'll be looking at your rearview mirror. And secondly, you'll be looking out of the side windows and looking at all the other people being successful and doing great things. And you will ask yourself, why not me? And I'm saying to you, it's all possible for you too. But you allow yourself to be distracted by other successes and other uniquenesses, and you forget about the unique you. So when we talk about the new year and we say the new year, the new you, I don't have to change necessarily by throwing off 70 kilograms. I would say kilograms. I don't necessarily need to do that. But I can just change my hairstyle. I can change the gray into blonde for a change, and so forth. Little things that can make a change that makes you feel great. And the moment you feel great, your whole body posture, your whole persona becomes bigger, and people want to be associated with successful people, people that's upright, that have got the presence. And it doesn't make a difference. You don't have to spend money just to pull yourself up straight and sit in front of of your desk and fill the screen with your presence. And that's all you need to do. That's the first challenge you put to yourself. Last year, this time, I spoke on a radio station where people were asking me about New Year's resolutions, because I too have made New Year's resolutions all the time. And so many people make that. And I said, the only thing about New Year's resolutions is that they are guaranteed to be a failure, because we don't set associated goals and visions for when would we know that we've achieved this, what we've said to be a New Year's resolution. And if it is losing weight, then you must set yourself a target. You must tell yourself, I want to lose 10, 15, 20 kilograms. And I want to tone my body so that I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or the ladies like Angela Jolie. Set yourself a target and put a picture up there. Like Ivan is saying, he's got his goals for the year up there in front of him on the other side of your screen, so that you are not just confronted with that. It's an affirmation every day and said, that's where I'm going towards. Not anywhere else. I'm going there. That's what I said to myself. And I have set those goals. Is it difficult? No, it's not. And my friends, now you will immediately say to me, but Bertie, I'm unemployed. I'm between jobs. I've lost it because of COVID, this, that, and the other. I've lost my partner. A lot of things have gone wrong. Life is tough. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not for sissies, as they say. Life is tough. So if those things happen in your life, you will need to take control once again. Accept that you are the person that's going to take yourself forward. Nobody else is going to do for you and on your behalf. And even if if you've lost your job, you need to, as I said this morning to another client, upskilling, reskilling, and unskilling must be 3 words that every single one of us, it doesn't matter whether I've got a job, whether I'm a coach, whether I'm an HR manager, or whatever the case may be, I too need to leave some behind and go and grab others and bring it here and retrain and reschool myself. Because only through that will I be able to differentiate myself when I do get an opportunity to say yes to somebody that offers me an opportunity. But, Ivan, please remind me before I go, I just want to read to you 8 points that I read about what people say about successful people being lucky. And where this individual said successful people isn't necessarily lucky. There's things that they do that ensure their success. It doesn't come from outside, it comes from inside.
About a couple months ago, I laughed. It was early last year when I had an associate of mine post a quote onto Facebook, and I really laughed because it says, if you are something like, if you're laying in bed all the time while I'm working, or you're sleeping while I'm working, or resting while I'm working, then don't call me lucky. And I think that has a lot to do. I want to quickly talk a little bit more from a different angle about new year, new you. And there's another thing that I've done a couple of times in my career. I started out as probably designing websites. And so I've done that for a while. And later on, I started an agency, and we did social media and app development and those kind of things. We had a couple of good corporate clients. We were able to send a couple of great invoices out. And during that time, I was listening to my mentor, which I still have to this day. And that inspired me so much that an evolution started happening. You know, that story of you're a caterpillar, and then you develop in darkness, and then this butterfly comes out. And in my career, especially when I started really working and engaging in business opportunities and business people, I probably reinvented myself about 3 times. So I started out as doing websites, and then I had an agency. And then because I lost one of my clients in that agency business, what was devastating to me wasn't the money that we've lost. I actually sat across on a table. I'm so connected to my purpose that I sat there, and they said to me, "I'm sorry, Ivan, we're canning the project. We're pulling the contract. We're not going to work with you anymore." And I was so comfortable and so peaceful that I said to them, "You know what? This contract that I lost is really not going to make a difference in my life, even though in the natural, it should have been, anybody that loses two big contracts, it would be devastating for them." And I just laughed and I said, this really doesn't make a difference to me, because if you're connected to purpose and you're driven by that, then these things won't worry you. And so sometimes in that middle period where I had the agency, etc., I said to myself, it was a little bit before that, I was doing a lot of like dog and donkey work. I was doing admin and punching numbers and doing those kind of things. And I said to myself, that was probably about 15 years ago. I said to myself, I said, I would love to coach one day. I would love to coach people to do what I do today and what I'm learning. And so probably about 10 years after that, 2015, I started coaching. And today, that's what I'm doing, and that's what you're doing. That's why we have such an affinity and we speak the same language. Is having reinvented yourself, and that's where I want to get to. New, being a new you, going into a new year with fresh perspectives, etc. Do you think that's a good exercise? That sometimes you have to, and I think in the current environment, it's something that a lot of people had to do. You can't do business or study or do anything the way that we used to do it. And a lot of people, I deal with them every day, they have a struggle with getting into the new way of doing things, a different way of doing things. And we have to adapt. And I think there's a lot of people struggle with that. I have to reinvent myself. I have to sometimes what I did before, and I'm comfortable with that. I know that, and I'm good at it. I might have to start doing something else. I might have to change my name. I might have to change my profession. I might have to change my approach to things. I might have to change my circle. I might have to change my friends. I might have to change where I live, and just, that's what I'm talking about. Do you think that's a good and healthy exercise to do something like that?
You said a lot of things, and we can talk about those subjects for hours. But what is very important is exactly that, is that that many of people now has been forced into situations where they had to make changes. Many of those people that were forced into those situations to make changes actually planned those changes and were just too scared, too fearful to take the first step. And the lockdown and associated losses of work opportunities has often forced them into there. So they made the change, and all of a sudden they realize that's what I should have done my life long. Many of us also have certain skills and abilities and jobs that we've done where people have constantly praised us for being so good at it. But what they don't know, that back at the ranch, I actually hated those tasks. But I'm good at it because I have to do it. There's a survival link to that. So we must get to the point where we are strong enough to say enough is enough. That you move on, and the situation we're in has taken us there. And why do I say that? The fact is that the new you is you sit down and really get to your core. And that is where the roles of a coach come in. And I'm not here to promote coaching per se, but I'm just saying that we are not necessarily able to really interpret all the signs that we get because we don't allow ourselves the time to ask the why question 4, 5, 6 times as our kids of 3 and 4 used to ask us. And then we got frustrated and say to them, listen, the sun comes up in the morning because I say so. Don't ask me why. We should spend that time, and a coach will take you through and force you through the thinking process so they can really get to your core. And don't for 1 minute think that people go to coaches because they've got problems. They may have challenges, but people don't necessarily go to coaches just because they've got problems to be solved. That's not why I'm there as a coach. And if people come to me and ask me to solve problems, I sometimes enjoy that, because what they perceive to be their problem is something on the surface. On the surface, much deeper down there is the real cause of that. That is just where the volcano burst out, but the lava is created, the heat and the melted rock is way down in the earth bed. So that's the role of the coach. So we should spend much more time to delve deeper in ourselves, to say, who am I really? Not what am I good at. I know that. I must say, what do I love doing? And like Ivan was saying, he wanted to coach because in his core, in his essence, that's what he loved to do. And he embarked on that road. And 5, 6 years down the road, he is a changed man. He's got a different career, and he jumps out of bed at speed because it's so good to have a new day with new opportunities to coach, to talk to people. And uh, I've just said now, people come to coaches not because they got problems. People come to coaches because they want to be better. They want to identify those things that they love doing and they should be focusing on so that they can become better. And those of you that follows me would know I talk about beyonder and beyondership. That is really the essence of being a beyonder, is somebody to get to a road to saying, I'm actually doing extremely well, but I know I can do better and I want to. And they reach out and they go beyond these obstacles. And through a coach, they help them focus. New direction, new path, new vision, and they live a fulfilled life. And it's not difficult. It doesn't need to cost you money. If you have access to the internet, even if it's just via your smartphone, and you've got data on there, there is so many answers you can get here. And the answers is not just where can I buy my new iPhone. That is not what this should be used for. This is an opportunity for you to grow and develop yourself beyond expectations, and it doesn't need to cost you a penny. I spend hours and hours every week on the internet, reading, listen to podcasts. Sometimes I say to myself, why are you doing this? Why are you listening to this individual? I'm working and doing other things and I'm listening to this individual because every person has got wisdom locked into themselves and it comes out, and I want to share that. I want to learn that. I want to internalize it because with all of that in myself, I create this new me, the new you. And it's up to you. As I say, if it's to be, it's up to you. Don't tell me you cannot. All you have to do is please just answer me and say, I cannot yet. Just add the yet. Write that yet somewhere on your desk. Y-E-T. It's just that. You will know what it's all about. I'm not there yet, but I'm en route. I might not be there tomorrow. I might not be there next month. But if I open my eyes and I'm focused, you'll find that there's other people that's walking your path. And if you join, you will get there quicker with a more surety. Just open your eyes. You are not alone. There's billions of us on this globe, on this world, and maybe in some other planets, some more of us.
Bertie, before we go into, you said you wanted to read 8 points to us. Before we get there, when we met on Friday, you were mentioning to me that people were bringing third-party content into a conversation just to add value to the conversation and to bring value to the audience. When you mentioned earlier in the call, you were talking about making your bed. So with your permission, what I want to do is I want to quickly inject a speech about that specific concept of making your bed into the call that I think would be valuable to you and to the listeners. Would you mind if I do that?
I know that one, but do play it. I think it's extremely valuable.
Okay, let's do that because I think that's going to help us really bring this thing home. And you just let me know if the sound is okay, etc. Let's quickly see. Just give me a second. For those that are watching, you're about to hear something phenomenal, and yeah, it should be fine. Okay, here we go.
sound is not there yet.
Okay. Let's see. Let me just see. Okay. All right, Bertie, I'm going to try and do something else. Do it another way. Do you want to go and start going through your 8 points so long so we can get back this to you just now?
Yes. I thought I would, when I read these points, I thought I must give credit to a Sudan Roux for doing that. But at the end of the article that I read, it said it's actually something to be posted by other people a long time ago. So I don't necessarily where it comes from. But the challenge is really, is when we talk about successful people, and everybody say they're lucky. And what this individual was saying, let's just look at these 8 points. And it might be, in terms of certain businesses, certain elements of businesses, certain approaches, network marketing or whatever might be more appropriate. But the 8 is that they say those successful people, they talk to strangers. I'm not going to elaborate because they've gone a long time. They talk to strangers. They make small talk. They eavesdrop as well as listen. They name drop. They offer and ask for help. They stray from the path. They don't burn bridges. And they say yes often. What is meant by all of this is to say you need to ensure that you are associated and linked to successful people, because success rubs off, as does negativity. It rubs off too. So if you're associated and have just a lot of negative people around you, walk away. I haven't started off by there's a lot of things that we need to do. And if you want to be successful, my friend, often they associated with that success comes losses. Losses in terms of friendships, family, in the sense of good relationships that you thought was good relationships. But some of those relationships and some of your friends in your circle is toxic because they themselves causes everything around them. It's almost like a flower. They will come in the room and the flowers die. You find that the more successful you become, the more you find yourself isolated from the friendship circles that you had before. All of a sudden, you're not fun to be with anymore because you do the right things at the right time. You ask the right questions to the right people. And that's the change you need to do. And if you want to talk about a new you, that's what you need to do. Walk away from those negativity and create your own positive environment, and you'll see how it flourish. I can guarantee you that. Create your own environment in which you can grow, and don't live other people's dreams, which you thought was worth it because they pay you a salary or they are looking after your upkeep. Take control of yourself. That new you. It's up to you. Thanks, Ivan.
Awesome. So I just got that video loaded into our software we're using here. So we're going to play this video for you, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about that afterwards, Bertie. Here we go.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and 1 special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive the freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted, and somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow we'll live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
So I think that brings our point home of the milestones, the little things that you do, etc. And also, Bertie, the value of where you and I are both successful is we are driven not by necessarily the business. You are saying to me over and over, I want to help people. I want to serve people. I want to get people's lives transformed, etc. And I think that's a value that's going to drive success and I think going forward. And that's the new kind of perspective, the new you that you need to do going into 2021.
You know, Ivan, before I start, I just want to say amen to that video clip, because it's the simple things in life that makes the biggest difference. We may think that it's only the big things that count, and that nobody sees the little things. But as he said, it's the small things that build to bigger things. And you can't look after the small ones. There is no ways you can look after the big ones. And as he said, and I honestly, sincerely believe that, make your bed in the morning. And that's one of the ground rules of the military. You start your day off by making your bed. And there's a specific way to do it, because that makes it perfect, so that you can come back to a perfect bed, irrespective of what your day was like. I want to add to that and sort of conclude this talk of ourselves. I listened to an individual that was also talking about approaching your day. And one thing that he said, and that's one thing that's troubling me, and it becomes bigger and bigger trouble, and it's filling my mind in trying to find answers. It is this little thing that's controlling our lives. Because so often, and most of the times, the first thing we do when we open our eyes in the morning is to grab the phone. Didn't somebody contact me? Didn't I get something? But this is the very, very thing that brings in the bulk of the negativity in your life. Because even before you get the opportunity to make your bed and start your day positive, on a positive note, you've grabbed this thing which filled you with negative thoughts. So you start yourself, because of this thing, negative. I say to my clients and my friends and family, if you really want to talk to me, then you phone me. Don't send me a WhatsApp. Don't send me an SMS. Don't send me an email, because I'm not taking this thing out 365 days of the year and 7 days in a week. I don't. If you want to talk to me and it's urgent, you phone me. Otherwise, I touch this thing and read this thing whenever I have time. And that time is definitely not first thing in the morning. And I challenge you. Try and bring some quality in your life. Put that at least 1 hour, not more than that. Just the first hour from when you wake up. Do not touch your cellular phone. Please don't do that. And secondly, if you spend time with friends and family, restaurant or whatever, leave this in your car. Just leave it. The world will not end in that 1 or 2 or 3 hours. Let's put the quality in our life. And as I said with these points is, talk to strangers. If you're always on your cell phone, you'll never talk to a stranger. Mostly, maybe they're also talking on their phone, but talk to strangers. Expand your horizons. Make small talk. If you stand in the queue in the shop or in the post office or somewhere, talk to people. Be friendly. Reach out. Talk to them in the escalator. But we don't do that because we are just on this thing, and we believe this is our world. This world is our biggest problem, not our solution. I conclude by saying, Start your morning by making your bed, and at least an hour later, for the first time, touch this thing, and your life will change. I promise. I will almost guarantee that. Thank you, Ivan. And thank you for
Phenomenal.
watching, listening.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. I think, Bertie, it looks like we had a good session today. Lots of views, lots of people. We got some comments there. Marina Globber says, excellent. Thank you, Marina, for watching. We always appreciate your support. And obviously, there's already lots of views on this video, which is excellent. Thank you, Bertie, for doing this with me. I love the topics that we touched today. And I'm sure that you've seen I've also shared a little bit out of my life where it was applicable. That was a lot of fun for me to do as well. So thank you for having me co-hosting this with you.
Thanks again. And to all out there, please stay safe.
Stay safe, guys. Thank you very much. And we'll see you again next week at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. Bye.